simplicity is the way. And I learned that in the various industries that I've done, including having my advertising and marketing firm and all the other things that I ventured into. And yes, I'm glad that you decided to take the complicated way and simplify it. And you were able to develop the programs not only in your books, but you also have audio programs as well.
Yeah, we're in that awkward stage between CDs. I started out selling Earl Nightingale stuff after he was part of our training program, so we bought from him and sold records. The Strangest Secret, I have my original copy up there, was a 33 1/3 record. And if you bought Lead the Field, the big set, it took a mule to carry it into somebody's office as your sample. And then in '67, the great breakthrough in cassettes, and then CDs, I guess, came next. And now CDs are going away. So we're in the awkward phase of between CDs and downloadables. They're being done.
And by the way, I still have this right here.
All right, that's the cassette.
Cassettes. Yep. Yeah. I still have it. You're
a believer. I bet we could match our libraries up and find a lot of commonalities.
Probably. Yes, absolutely. So are you transitioning from CDs to like online streaming, things like that?
I don't know the answer to your question because I haven't talked to my niece today to figure out how you do that. We are making it downloadable, whatever that means, and on Audible, Amazon's thing, I assume.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
That's what we're in the process of. And we're still running a big company where I had 125 people waiting for my next announcement. They'd come out tomorrow. I have rid myself of all of that responsibility. So we've outsourced, and I don't quite have the command power I used to have. So it's going to take a few weeks or whatever, but it's on the way, and recorded by the original voice who did all the closer stuff, John Hyde, dear friend of mine. First, was a DJ and one of my top salespeople. He was a DJ, the first man to play Beatles music in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, he introduced him right down the hill in Sacramento, California. So I can't wait to hear his voice again. He passed away about a year ago, and I haven't heard him in a while. But he really brought it to life. And the original recordings, which were just, probably upgrade them or whatever you do to make them sound even clearer. The original recordings he gave to me as a birthday present. One day he was after me to put it, recording. I said, I'm not going to sit in the studio and read 16, just 2 books back then, 16 hours of books. He said, you don't have to. And he handed me the master tapes. He had already been in the studio.
Oh.
And he said, that's your birthday present this year.
Oh.
Wow. And then to the day he whined about not getting royalties. I said, you said it was a birthday present.
Wow. I have a question, because of your depth and all the wisdom that you have in this area and expertise of sales. But on a personal level, what do you feel that was very supportive to your journey that you had adapted as, a process that helped you maintain focus and be able to do what you're doing today?
Well, Dr. Hill helped, because if he said to me, focus, Ben, focus once, he said it 1,000 times. I'm one of those people that I'm working on this and something happens over there, and I turn and I'm off to the next bright, shiny object. If I'm writing a book, now I mostly ghostwrite. If I haven't said it in the 5 books we have out now, I'm not gonna say it. So I ghostwrite for other people, but I'll do almost anything to avoid sitting down and starting to write. I love to write. Once I get going, I sometimes I think, did I go to the bathroom? I don't remember, because 8 hours has passed. But typing that first one is very difficult for me for some reason. It's not writer's block, it's writer's delay. if tomorrow, for instance, is take out the garbage day and I'll be in town, so Gigi will remind me and I'll go do it, which will come in handy because I can stretch that into about 30 minutes, which is 30 minutes I don't have to be writing. So focus, and she caught me at that. So I took her on a beautiful drive one day, and she says, "Oh, I love this. We only do this on the weekends normally. There's a beautiful area almost to Lake Tahoe right near us," and she says, "This is so sweet of you." And I said, "Thank you." And we're driving along, and there's this pause, and she says, "Are you supposed to be writing something?" Well, yes.
You're escaping.
She says, "Take me back to the office." So I am by nature, like most of your viewers, lazy. I procrastinate. I'm not focused like I should be. So I set up a system years ago, and I've refined it over the years, but I set up a system, has little basics in it, like Ivy Lee, the great efficiency expert that Earl talked about in Lead the Field, when he called Charles Schwab, and Schwab said, "What can you help me do better?" He didn't even believe it. He said, "Well, let me sit with you for a while." Sat with him for a day, and at the end of the day, he said, "You got a focus problem. Here's what I want you to do, Mr. Schwab. Write down tonight, the 5 most important things you have to do tomorrow." Schwab did. He said, "Now number them in their order of importance." He did. He said, "Now when you come in tomorrow, work on number 1 to the exclusion of everything else until it's done, or until you reach a point where you can't go any further until something comes in, or, that happens in life, and stay on it till it's done. And then number 2, and then number 3. And if you can't get it done under that process, you can't get it done under any process. And you know that you'll always be doing the most important thing because you're working 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, my calendar, which is just out of reach, has probably 20 things on it today, but they were all numbered in their order of importance. And or time. Time was I had to wait for this time to be with you, or it would have been number 1 on the list. And I went through it, including going down for the pre-op on the colonoscopy, because I wrote it down when I set the appointment a month ago or whatever. Wrote it down, so there it is, and I have to do it. Or else I could have figured out a way to wiggle out of that. I don't feel like I'm dying of colon cancer, so I can get out of it. But it was number 4 or 5 on the list. When you get to that, you get in the car and you go do it. So I do a process like that. I paid a guy, Steve Williford, to ghostwrite a book for me years ago, and called The Winner's Edge. I think we still have a few. It's a fine book, but just never really took off. Think Chicken Soup for the Soul. It was that concept. But all the stories were mine, but they were unrelated to each other. They were just inspirational. And he wrote a chapter and sent it to me from Memphis, Tennessee. And I marked it up and sent it back. And I said, "All right, let's go. Write the next one." And he called me and he said, No, you're going to write the next one." I said, "No, I paid you to be the ghostwriter." He said, "Well, you also wanted to learn how to write and everything." And he said, "I've studied your stuff. You're a better writer than I am." And I said, "Yeah, but only when I'm inspired. And in the mood." And he said, "We've stumbled on the problem. Professional writers don't write when they're inspired. They write every day, no matter how they feel, from a sick bed if necessary." And he said, "Here's your starting point. I want you to write a page of printable copy." We would take that page and send it to the printer if we didn't have to write the rest of the book. A page of printable copy every day. We'd settle on 6 days a week because I take some time off on the weekends, family time, but I can still knock out a page Saturday morning usually. And he said, that way you won't have to hire me to ghostwrite the next book. You'll have 325, 350 pages. That's a book a year if you don't get serious about it. Well, that was 24 books ago that I've written. So it was just putting it in a process, feeding it into my success system and doing it. I tell people, how do I make it in sales? Come early, stay late, work on weekends, at least in the beginning. Knock yourself out. Then you can be like Ali Rita, my buddy, who's now the #1 car salesman ever on the planet.
Yeah, we saw the interview with Ali.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes,
well, Ali, we awarded him with the, I don't have the right glasses on to be reading at this distance, but in 1 year sold I don't know, 1,500 cars or something like that.
Wow.
Last month, December, he, by himself, not working weekends, not taking away any family time, and honoring all religious holidays, he sold 202 cars in December.
Wow.
And if you watch the interview, you made me remember, I said, you're not a salesman, you're a machine. And that's what he does. He's got a process. It's just like making sausage. On this end, you put in X amounts of meat of various kinds, and it goes through the grinder, and it comes out on the other end of sausage. The sausage maker doesn't sit around wondering how the sausage feels about it, or how long, that doesn't enter into. He's got it down to a science. Ali Rita has it down to a science. I have it down to a science. And that way I overcome my laziness, my procrastination, etc. Every weakness I have has been handled by a process, by a success system. And so I don't know how I would set one of those up. Here's how you do it. You can't move up in business till you replace yourself. Do we all agree on that?
Yes.
It's a generality. That's true. So you want to move up. So let's write the job description weekly, daily, yearly for the person who's going to replace you. And I literally make them write it all down. Well, he or she would do this, and he or she would do this. And when they get done, I say, good, do that. You would do that unto someone else. Do it unto yourself. Do that. And then when he gets in the slump 2 years from now, Sofie, you say, well, get that list out again and go back to basics. Because those become your basics. It's a system. I don't ever walk in the office going, oh, golly, I wonder what I'm going to do. I get my standard diary, whatever it's called. It looks like a red hymnal. I get out my hymnal, turn it to today was Tuesday, and there's everything I'm going to do. Blah, 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 blah. And I do it. And I was up at 5. I don't use an alarm clock. Sometimes I get up earlier, but generally I wake up at 5:30 and I'm available. I'm not in the office necessarily working, but I'm available by phone till 10 o'clock at night. So you get luckier when you're available to work, at least. You may not be the one doing it all the time. What is that, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30? That's 17 hours a day I'm available. You get a lot luckier when you're available 17 hours a day.
And what's your process when you want to recharge yourself? Because obviously you're giving too much and you're fully present.
Yeah, I'm not, if you're giving too much and you're not fully present, but here's what it is in the success system. I was talking to Dr. Hill one day and he said, how are you handling your personal life? Because I was doing 300 seminars a year, thanks to the Learjet. I did 33 cities in 11 days once, thanks to the Learjet. Breakfast speech, lunch speech, evening opportunity meeting. And so he said, how are you handling your family life? And he used to stay at the house. So but everybody's on their best behavior when you have a guest in the house, especially if it's Dr. Hill. So, but he had enough sense to know it's got to have wear and tear. I said, well, here's what I do. I've got it under control. I'm busy, but I take family life and I stick it into the nooks and crannies. And he said, we've hit upon the problem. Ben, here's what I want you to do. I want you to plan out your family life and then stick business into the nooks and crannies. And if you're organized, like I'm teaching you to be, that'll be plenty of time. So the answer to your basic question, Sofie, is this. I get out my magic calendar, and 4 or 5 times a year, I mark off 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, usually Wednesday night to get there and Monday morning to come back, whatever. But at least 4 days, 5 times a year. And we go somewhere. Generally, we go over to the Northern California coast, the ocean. Mendocino is our favorite place in the world. I'm just utterly at peace there. So that goes in first. Date night, I don't really like that term. It sounds sort of hokey to me. But anyway, date night. 3 nights a week, Gigi and I go out, sometimes more, but to a nice restaurant and have dinner 3 times a week. When I'm at that dinner, when I schedule the dinner in, Gigi and I work it out. When do we want to go out? So and so. When I schedule that in, had I already scheduled that in and we had planned, you'd invite me to do this, we wouldn't be doing it today. Because I would have said, oh, sorry. That's blocked out. Now, well, you could move it around a day. No, if you start moving things around like that, then you can justify not taking the long weekend at the coast next time. So that's just set in stone. And everything else, yeah, everything else goes into the nooks and crannies. Gigi is my third wife. I have no desire to meet my fourth wife.
Well, Gigi is the most famous one of my times. Because I know Gigi. Everybody knows Gigi.
Yeah, but she's known all over the world. I bump into somebody in the airport and they say, "Where's Gigi?" And I said, "Well, you are a set. Ben and Gigi have become a brand."
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. And your story when you went to get the car, the yellow or the white, and the salesperson missing the sale of what you were looking for, and still after you've decided to take the white car, he's trying to explain to you about the engine on the yellow car and stuff, and you're like, Gigi was in that story.
I wanted a 6,000-pound car for tax purposes. Beyond that, I didn't care. Yes. And there's that the Toyota Sequoia, I think, big one, and the GMC XL Denali, whatever. One was gold or brown, one was white. And he says, "All right, now I'll tell you." I said, "Shh, be quiet. Gigi, which color do you like?" She said, "White." I said, "We'll take the white one." Yes. That's it.
Still try to talk about the engine, and the guy
popped open the hood.
Said, "Shut up! Go get the paperwork. Let's get this deal going."
My good friend Dave Clark was the sales manager, and he was nice enough to give this deal to the young salesman. He didn't have to do anything but write it up, get my name right. And he starts through, "This is the engine. This is the so-and-so." I said, "Stop it." "Well, then we'll do your test drive." I said, "My test drive is going to be going home. I don't need that you crank it."
He did not know a driver and no person knowing what they want. Give me the facts, and I know what I want, and get me out. He was
so he can sell it. He was overselling it.
Yeah, show me where the key goes. Show me where the steering wheel is. Show me where the brakes and accelerator are. I'm happy. Now give me your cell phone number. Because when one of these doesn't work, I'm going to phone you. I'm not going to phone the service department. I'm not going to call AAA. You're making a lot of money on this deal. I didn't haggle it. So you can do fine. And the way you're going to pay me back is you're going to answer the phone when I call, and you're going to come fix my problem. Well, it turned out I never had to call him, but that was all I wanted to know. Key, steering wheel, brakes, accelerator, and what's your number? That's really what most people want to know, but we've created this haggling society where, the car dealer asks more for the car than he ever expects to get. The buyer offers this down here, and then the mud wrestling starts. In the closer's part 2, sales infiltration, starts on page 257. It's the best thing ever written about selling. I say that humbly because I wrote it. But the best thing ever written about selling, and it wipes out all of that stuff, everything. And I tell my customers the price has been pre-haggled. I knew what I wanted. I figured you wouldn't pay it. I know what you were going to offer. I'm not going to take that. So I sort of went back and forth. So the price I'm telling you today has been pre-haggled. It's not negotiable. Or people will call and say, "I want to buy a bunch of books. What's the best discount you can give me?" And I said, "Well, the discounts start at 10 and run to 1,000. How many do you have in mind?" And the answer is usually 7. Or, 7 is $24.95 times 7. Do you have a calculator there? It's just, I'm done with all that stuff. My speaking fee is $9,500 for a full day or an hour. If they don't need the full day, I tell them I'll go out the house and wash the windows and play with the dog, whatever makes them happy. But they've bought time, a day's time, and that's $9,500, not $9,350. Somebody offered me the other day, our budget is $7,500. I said, "Well, call back when it's $9,500. Things will get.
Ask you this, something with numbers. I also like certain numbers. Why did you choose 9,500?
Because that way you don't have to say $10,000.
Okay, just wanted under the 10 as a number, and that was like Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
and 9,500, you don't have to say dollars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
9,500.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't want to say dollars, and I want to be under 10,000. The reason they price cans of things in grocery stores for 99 cents, they don't want to say a dollar.
Mhm.
9.95 for this. They don't want to say $10. All the rules apply no matter what the price is. We had the Learjet, and then we bought a Gulfstream. I don't know if it was 1, 2, or 3. I don't even remember them being numbered in those days, but we bought a Gulfstream. And I said, what's the price? And whatever, I really forget what it was, but it was over $1 million. I remember that. But it was, I'm making up numbers, 1,000, 9,500. I said, when you talk about that kind of money, the 95, what's that for? And he said, so I don't have to say $1 million. So I learned from
Okay.
that process. $1
Yeah.
million is a lot of
Well,
money.
now we learned too.
Yeah, well, that's fine. I got no secrets. I've
Well,
lived
I
long
mean,
enough,
talking
and
about not using the dollar as a word.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it works like magic. And and if they say, as people do from time to time, like you did, why that? And I said, because if I say $10,000, it sounds like more. I had to say dollars, and so on. So I said 9,500. Although I think you're right, I should raise it. Give me a second to think about that. No, Mr. Gay, 9,500 will be fine.
We're good. We're good. Let's keep it there.
Yeah. And then quantity discounts. I mean, not quantity discounts, but scarcity. I used to do 300 a year, and I had people that tried to fill up all those slots. When I met Gigi, I said, I love you and I want to marry you. And she said, that's fine. And however, we have to talk. I hate however when you're talking to a woman. Well, however turned out to be, she knew my previous 2 wives, grew up with one of them, was a dear friend of the second one. She said, I've talked to them, and we're not going to do 300 seminars a year. How about, in back and forth, 24. So I adjusted my price up. It was something less than 9,500 before. No local clients, a blessing. I can walk downtown in ratty clothes or, whatever I want. I don't have to dress up for anybody. And when I looked up and down the main street in Placerville, that was no great loss. The biggest employer on Main Street is the hardware store. They got 12 people. I don't think they're going to bring me in. And no speeches within 50 miles of home. I said, how far is Lake Tahoe? She said, 60. Deal. We're done. The scarcity, I filled up the first year I was on that program, I filled up the first 24 slots in less than 30 days. Didn't have to chase anybody around. I just said, well, I only have 24 slots open, no more than 3 in any 1 month. So if you want in, pick one right now. I'm reasonably open in this month, and then bang, let me in. And suddenly they were paying.
Urgency.
Should have met Gigi long ago. I could have made a lot more money with a lot less effort.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yes. Smart gal that you have there.
Yeah. If you're from California, you know what this is. You know what that is? That's an In-N-Out to-go
In and out.
cup.
Yes. In and out.
I have a nice glass over here that I brought to the office so I wouldn't hold this up, and then out of habit, I just grabbed it. But In-N-Out was where we were right before we got on.
Oh, nice.
Now we know.
So
The ice is melting.
Did you get a double? Did you get because with In and Out you could actually have your own off the menu burgers made too.
Yeah, our youngest son does that. He and his friends order I don't know what it's called, the wild hog or the sloppy something, and it's a mess, but they say it tastes good. No, we order a number 3
Okay,
with
got it.
And then please cut it in half, and then an extra drink. So we each have our drink. We split the hamburger and split the fries, and that's plenty fuss. So if you're an In-N-Out guy, you know what a number 3 is, and it's really, they do a good hamburger. I'm telling you, they really do.
They do, absolutely. And yeah, there's one not far away from me. So
I have one last question.
All right.
Is there any belief that you had in the past that today you don't believe in?
Yeah. In the beginning, I believe you had to say what you had to say to get the sale. My ethics were not yet totally in line. I'm leaning over to pull out my memo pad. My memo pad, an old beat up spiral thing, they get beat up in my pocket. I used to carry this around to write down what I had told you. So the next time I could remember, I now carry it around for ideas.
That's a
And
tough one.
I'm surrounded by legal pads and recorders and everything, but that went to an idea pad instead of a what did I tell you pad. Give you an example. Yeah. When we joined Holiday Magic, Bill Dempsey said he was making $10,000 a month. He was the guy who brought us in. So Zig and I and my partner Jimmy Rucker, we started saying we were making $10,000 a month. Well, you tend to see the same people night after night, 5 nights of opportunity meetings just in Atlanta a week. You see the same people, and if you're making 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, the program isn't working because you're supposed to get 5 who get 5 who get 5, and the pie gets bigger. So we said 10,000 for a while when we weren't making 10,000. And when we started making 10,000, we bumped it up to 15 or 20,000. When we finally started making that, we bumped it up. And we bumped it up to 40,000 a month before we were making 40,000 a month. And then we made, the last month I was in the field full time, we made 44,000, I think it was. And Rucker said, "What are we going to say about next month?" And I said, I don't think we can bump this, double it every 60 days, and so, and I'll tell you another small one where I really learned a lesson. We decided we needed a new Cadillac to pick up prospects and so on. So we bought a blue sedan DeVille, 1965. It cost $5,000, which was a lot of money then.
A lot of money back then. Yes.
Yeah. So we bought one. And whoever had the best prospect that night took the Cadillac and got him. The other one parked his car, what I was driving a Nash Rambler in the beginning, parked around the corner of the hotel where nobody could see it. So, and then when people notice I'm driving a Cadillac one night, Rucker's driving another night, they said, "Do you have one or two?" I said, no. We each got one, and we got them. We did something so there'd be no squabbling. We had them outfitted exactly the same. So nobody can say they got the better radio or they got the better this. So one night I'm giving that explanation outside the Georgian Terrace Hotel in Atlanta. And the valet brought the car around, and I'm starting to that explanation. And a guy about my father's age, he had a little gray and was much more sophisticated than I was. He said, "That's really nice, cuts down the arguments." He said, "You do it exactly the same?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, you must have, because I've noticed even the tag number is the same."
I was just going to say.
And my heart sank. And Rucker and I had lunch the next day, and I said, "Rucker, we're done. The truth, we've been making 30, 40, 45, whatever a month. We're driving a Cadillac. We can get another one if we want, but that's enough. We can just say the truth from now on, and probably even scale that back would be better." We also had flash money back in those days. $1,000 bills were in general circulation. So on the first of the week, let's say, we would go get 3 $1,000 bills, then some hundreds, and then some 5, 10s, 20s, and a few ones. It made a wad about that thick. And I would carry it the first part of the evening. Rucker would carry it the second part of the evening. And one of us would go over to the other one in front of prospects and say, "Do you have change for 100? And so whoever had the wad would pull it out, flip through it, 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, to people who've never seen a $1,000 bill, 100, 100, 100. Oh, here, and then make the change they asked for. And then the meeting would end. We'd sign up our people, and on the way home, we would put it in a fat envelope and drop it in the night deposit at the bank. So nobody would do anything stupid with it. We'd give it back to the bank. And the next day or two, we'd withdraw it again and go through it all. So between inflated incomes, a Cadillac, two Cadillacs that happen to have the same license plate on them, and our flash roll that we had to deposit in the bank every night. It was just getting too much to remember. So as someone later said to me, William Penn Patrick, he said, Ben, when all else fails, try the absolute truth. And that was in 1966 or 67, and I've been fine since. So that's what I did wrong and have since corrected. Yeah, it's my pad has nothing in it that I have to remember except do this or pick up this or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to go through the pressure of dealing with being on your toes all the time, trying to remember those things instead of focus on being more creative and continue to grow.
I wasn't smart enough to keep all those balls in the air. You got to be, if you're an efficient, effective liar, you got to be a lot smarter than I am. Bernie Madoff or Madoff, whatever his name is, $36 billion. I saw the other night on a documentary, some figure like that, astronomical. Can you imagine the things you have to keep in your mind to keep $36 billion worth of balls in the air, and all the, I guess, thousands of people who are calling you to say this, and you said, so I'm not that smart. Just can't.
Yeah, I couldn't do that easier, and yeah, I could never do anything like that. And I have a 156 IQ, and I can't do that at all.
Well, show you how much smarter you are than I am. I don't know what my IQ is, and I was always afraid to ask. For fear it was a little bit less than my Labrador Retriever.
You're very emotionally intelligent, and that's
So I'm gonna say something about that. I'm gonna say that you probably have a super high genius sales IQ.
Yes, absolutely.
That may be true. Yeah,
absolutely.
In that one little area of life, I'm pretty good.
But isn't everything
your master?
Well, thank you, sir.
Either you're being sold or you're selling all the time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Does that make you a big IQ and everything then?
And I'm blessed that I love meeting people and working with them. I would do it. Don't tell anybody this, but if I had to, I would pay.
We're on a real life, so I don't know.
If I had to, I would pay to do what I do. I just love it.
Yes.
Love meeting people, love talking to people, love complimenting people and seeing them puff up and somebody's having a bad day.
Well, we just sensed that we were so happy and so excited when we connected with you and you gave us the okay and the time to actually contribute your time and your life and your experience with all of us.
Thank you.
And we really appreciate that because it's like the human legacy we leave. And there are those people who really leave a signature in this world. And it's so touching to many of those who like read their books. And I was just talking to someone today at Sheraton Resorts, and I work in the Preview Elite Sales Gallery. And I was excited about you coming on tonight. And he said, oh my God, are you talking about Ben Gay III? I'm like, yeah. I'm just reading his book now, and his name is Alex. So Alex, if you're watching, yes, your name's here today.
Yes.
Yes.
Well,
so you'll be surprised when you give with love and with generosity. You're touching so many people's lives that you probably don't even know or imagine how far it's gone just from the effort that you put in, the dedication, creating those systems that changed many households' income and bread and butter, and being able to put their kids to school, to college, to have a better life. I mean, it's a big thing. It's really a very beautiful legacy to leave. And that's why we were so excited to have you on and have more of our people and share you with our platforms and more people to know about you and to reach out to you and to get help as needed of what subjects. And just like why I asked you earlier, and that was very good that you said the basic, you read the one. It's like a system, like you go to school. You know, you go kindergarten, then you go, you know, middle school, elementary, high school, so you can understand it better. Is you got to understand the basic, the foundation, and you can go up a little bit and then apply that, practice with it, and see, test it, see where it's going, and it helps you to grow from there. So yes, so we really appreciate all that.
And
Very kind of you.
and by the way, we have BG3. Is it B something G? Your website is
BF.
yeah, bfg3.com. The link is in the description here. So I'm going to suggest everybody to go there and take a look at his books, his courses, and so much more. And again, he's going to have it on Audible and I believe other platforms. So he's going to actually have it streaming. So those of us that are in a new technology world can listen to his stuff as
Those
well.
of you who are in the know.
In the know.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And
can I give you a real quick favor to your viewers?
Yes.
They'll have to write it down. Sure. If it's not streaming, you have no way to know. They can get a better deal on my material. It's currently featured with special pricing and free shipping at stores, stores.ebay.com/Ronzoni Books,
Ronzoni Books.
RONZONE Books, BOOKS, but all one word, of course. And there is sort of for insiders. That's where I send people because they pay less, get free shipping, etc.
Oh, blessings!
The reason is Ronzoni. You've heard that name once before tonight. That's Gigi's last name.
Oh.
That's her website, and the reason she's able to sell for less at her website than I do at mine is I have to pay for my books from the printer and the publisher and so on. Gigi goes into the warehouse and steals them. So she offers them. And I tell every new employee when she comes in and tries to grab something, stop her. And not one employee ever in the 22 years we've been together has been able to do that. They won't bring up the subject. They just follow her around and carry things for her. So if you don't mind owning stolen books, go to stores.ebay.com/Ronzoni Books. I'll still sign them, date them, and we'll get them out to you right away.
Oh,
fantastic!
That's awesome.
That is really, really awesome. Yes, signed copies from the Ben Gay.
Ben Gay, even the ones who have your book now, they might want to go and get one just so you can have your signature on it.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And again, you guys go grab. If you're in sales, if you run your own business, if you have an organization where you run your own business, if you have salespeople, buy a ton of the books and distribute them out, and grab the whole series of them.
And everything gifts for a salesperson.
Yes, and
you guys are way too kind.
And those of you that are in whatever sales, like in timeshare, in Sofie's industry, those of you that are watching right now, grab all the closers books and the specific book for resort sales. Grab that as well. And
actually,
you guys are going to
know about that one, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, I was talking to a guy yesterday, not a guy, I was talking to my partner in the last protege.com, the place we're building around my time with Dr. Hill. And he said, my favorite book, and I was expecting him to say The Closer's Part 2, or if you're a hard-bitten salesperson, The Closer's Part 1, or whatever. And he said, The Art and Science of Resort Sales. And I said, you've never been in that business. He said, no, it's the sales process. You don't have to be in any business. He's telling me about my book.
Yes, it's true.
But he said, it's my favorite, and he's been in investments and so on, real estate his whole life, but not campground membership or whatever. So it sort of brought it back to my mind again. Oh, yeah, everybody likes that book.
It's funny because when I was looking at different YouTubes at different times that you have, you're a great storyteller. And when you tell anything that you're explaining has like a story to it. So it's easy to follow. It's very simple. And it's like a lesson. It's almost like you took a class of one thing, and that's just from a little story, like the story of the car and why you wanted the white versus the other, like the way you present it, how people can miss the sale. And that story was so simple and it's easy to remember. And I that was a long time that I remember that one. And that
Word
it
pictures.
stuck to me because it was,
Yep.
and Gigi was in the story. That's how I remember Gigi.
Word pictures, very easy way to teach. It's easy for me, and I'm a simple, uneducated guy, so they're easier to do. But more importantly, it sticks with the audience, with the students, or whatever you want to call them. If they can picture it in a story, it just. I've had people come up to me and say, "You don't remember me, but I was in a seminar with you 30 years ago in Dallas." And then they say, "I was in the second row. I had on a yellow shirt." I go, "Oh, yeah, I remember now." But they say, "You probably don't remember this story, but you said," and they tell some story that changed their life.
Yes.
And it was just a true story, usually about somebody else. And so it's extremely effective. As somebody said to me one day, well, I was explaining why I thought it worked. He said it worked for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
No. He told stories, word pictures,
That's
people could remember.
Okay.
Well, guys, I'm honored to be with you.
I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to make one statement here. When you said you're an uneducated guy, you're not formally educated to like, let's say, a PhD level. You're self-educated to a PhD level in your field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
a master.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
a master. Well, Ben, I want to thank you.
Title. I mean, come on.
Yes.
You know what? Because you were the teacher. How could you be teaching and learning? So that's what happened.
Absolutely. And again,
you went from kindergarten to a professor very fast.
He did. I know that you have to go right now there, Ben, and we want to thank you for coming on. We're going to actually put that other link down. If you can send me the link through Messenger, Ben,
we'll put it in the comments
to the eBay store, that I will put it in the description link and share it. Yes, and share it that way as well. And what's the best way that if anybody wants to hire you as a speaker or otherwise, what's the best way of getting a hold of you?
There is no negotiation on the speaking. Listen, it's the speaking. It's not for half a day or an hour. Remember that.
The easiest way to reach me, I mean, I have emails and all that, but pick up the phone and call. Worst will happen is you get voicemail. There's only one of me. But as soon as I'm off and can, I'll return the call. Just call 800-248-3555. 800-248-3555. Odds are I'll answer the phone and we'll have a nice chat.
Fantastic. And since you're limited to only 24 spots a year, if you have that one last spot open, I'm going to suggest to those of you that want to hire them, we can put in a bidding war, and the highest bidder wins.
You can have everything
over
over 9,500. Yeah, everything over
9,500, and we'll go up from there.
There you go. I like that. You guys are great. I have really enjoyed this.
Oh, absolutely.
This was a lot of fun for us too.
Likewise. I'm going to give you a big hug, Ben. Really. And Gigi for you when you watch this too.
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that. I will tell her I got a hug. She's one of your admirers. She sees almost everything that I get.
Oh, and, blessings.
Yeah. So she likes both of you guys, and you're as you would agree, Bob, Sofie is infectious.
She is.
I mean,
she is.
She's one of the best I've ever met.
Oh,
yes. And I'm so lucky to have her as my partner in a Laughter Mindset program. And she's a natural presenter and speaker and teacher. So I'm lucky in that way.
I'm so honored. I'm so honored. You know, it's a good thing there's no doors for me to get out of.
Well, anytime I can be of service, you guys let me know. I know
Yes.
it's a prime spot to be on with you, but if there's ever a time when somebody flakes out on you or something, call me. I'll be happy to help anytime.
Oh, bless your heart.
Well, we plan on having you back, and I plan on getting you on my podcast, The School of Transformation, as well.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Love to.
Yes. Yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Well,
Ben. Thank you.
Well, Ben, you have an amazing day and week ahead, and let's keep in contact and more. And again, you guys out there, go down to his sites and the links that we're going to have. We're going to have the other one in the description. Grab his books. Create a Bengay library in your home and at your work.
Yes.
If you're operating work, make sure you have a Bengay library up there, especially if you're doing a lot of sales and you want to really ramp it up. Grab it, go to his programs, and he's available. Again, we got the bidding war starting now for his speaking. So you guys do it now before it's too late.
This makes me feel so cheap, but I'm willing to do it.
That was funny.
Okay,
right,
everybody, thank you for tuning in for tonight's episode with Viv Bengay. Take care now, everybody.
Blessings.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.